This is an add-on video to the Montgomery Ward lathe made by Logan. Wanted to add to a video I made previously. Seems like I got a lot of views on that last video about the lathe where I showed the pin under here to put this in back gear drive. I'm not sure what was so popular about that video, but I'm going to kind of go over this a little bit again just to show this rig. This is a 1947-48 lathe made by Logan, sold by Montgomery Ward's, as it says right there. I picked this up from a friend in Corpus whose grandfather used it in business for a long time. A friend made this table for me, has a welding shop, made this table for me, and didn't intend for me to use it for this, but this works out perfect. It's a really heavy table. Yeah, it moves around, it wiggles around when you're running the handles and everything. It does wiggle around, but it's okay. It's a small lathe, and for the work that I do with it, I don't do anything heavy or super accurate. Mostly just extra little fittings and things like that. I'm a little too close here. So, things that I've had to do to this are, one is I've cleaned up a lot. I've basically taken this whole head unit apart, the spindle, even the chuck, everything in the gearbox here, all of these gears, everything here. The only thing I haven't taken apart is the cross feed. I think this is called the apron here in the front. I haven't taken this apart and worked on it because mainly what I originally bought it for was I just needed this rotating unit here for a project, for a polishing project. Turned out the lathe is nice, so I went ahead and started cleaning it up. I've cleaned up the tailstock. I found other tools and pieces that are missing from it. Tool holders, just random stuff. I have another chuck down here in the toolbox. I got a flat plate for it, another flat plate, and this is a 3-jaw chuck. It doesn't have replaceable jaws, so neither does that one. So I don't have other jaws for these chucks, and so I just got this one on eBay. It fits, and it's got the jaws coming from the outside, as you can see here, where you hold the material from the outside. This one, you hold the material from the inside, or you could hold it in an internal, like a tube or something, if you wanted. But anyway, I have 2 checks for it, and other random tools. I bought a collet chuck. This is really nice for doing pins and small things, small diameter things. This is an ER32 collet chuck, and I already have a whole lot of collets for this. So that's a nice little add-on. I found a bunch of random adapters and, I don't know, cutters and stuff in the garage where the rig was. You know, I don't know if I'll ever use that, but it fits the chuck, fits the tailstock. Here's a live center that I bought. This is a new one that I bought. As long as the taper's correct, it'll fit. And just a bunch of random other things, pieces and parts. But here's the main rig, and unfortunately it doesn't have a gearbox here so you can set auto feed. This is a screw cutting lathe that it says right on the manual that it's a screw cutting lathe, so it's what it's intended for. It's not intended for just general machining. It's light duty. It'll cut threads. It'll cut more than that, but in general, it's just made for basically cutting screws, small pieces and parts. I had to remake a motor mount. The casting that mounts this motor was cracked and broken in some critical places, and I thought about brazing it back together, and I said never mind. I have a machine shop. I just redesigned it, made this. I made a 2-piece mount so I can incorporate all the features that it had. Works great. Works fine. I put a new motor on it, did some wiring. I have a cord that goes over there to the wall, but this box also feeds an outlet here under the bench. So I've done this so I can have other little things like electric grinders or whatever else I want to use, cut off wheels or whatever I want to use on here. So my next project on this is to take this cross feed apart, clean it up, lubricate it, check for wear, check for problems. There is a catch right about here, distance-wise, in the feed, and I don't know exactly what it is yet. I haven't figured out whether it's in this little gear under here or the roller, you know, the mating gear inside the apron there, or where it's catching, but it's got a couple of catch points where I don't know what happened. It just came that way. But overall, it's a good little lathe. It's a good addition. I don't do any production on this. I just do things like modifying pins or making simple parts. This is a CNC shop, and I'm not going to spend time standing here all day making parts on one machine. So that's not what this is for. It's just to support other work that I do. Thanks for your interest.